Hello and welcome to today's video review. Today we are talking about Star Wars The Clone Wars. Now don't get confused with the animated series. This film was actually theatrically released on August 15th, 2008. Currently holds a 18% out of 169 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. This actually was meant as kind of an intro to the Clone Wars TV show, and that kind of shows. But as always, I am Mr. Nose. This is Andrew. Let's go ahead and talk again about some more Star Wars. Overall thoughts?
Not as bad as I remember from the one other time I saw it.
Yeah,
Just
it's been a long time since I've seen it too.
Very drawn out with a very complex storyline.
Very true. It was rather like near the end. I fought myself staying awake. It got boring and felt like it dragged on. It's a 98-minute film. This essentially could be cut into 3 or 4 Clone Wars TV episodes, and the movie really feels like it. It feels like it's meant for TV. It's animated, beautifully animated, but it's meant for a younger audience. Definitely not one that I can connect with. But there are some good things in it, though. Asajj Ventress, I've actually enjoyed. I enjoy that character. Always have. Her interactions with ObiWan are actually really the highlight of her character, I think.
Yeah, those two are like Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah. Asajj on her own is almost enough to watch the Clone Wars series when you go through her whole arc, she goes from dark side adept, Dooku's apprentice basically, to a bounty hunter. She gets thrown out and ends up working with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka Tano, who is introduced in this film, and I can't stand her in this movie. I can't stand Ahsoka. Yeah, that's the I can't even think what her species is.
I can't remember.
Togruta?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But she's a youngling. She's supposed to be 7 or 8, I think, at this point in the timeline, and she's an annoying little child. I can't even express my thoughts on her. But she goes through and is the Padawan to Anakin. You know what? I just realized we're spoiling the crap out of this. I keep forgetting to bring that up on the top, but yeah, and Anakin.
This is another one that if you haven't seen it already, you're probably never going to watch it.
You're never going to. Straight up, you won't watch. You probably, going to be honest, you might not even realize that this is a thing. This brings in Anakin Skywalker to being a master. If you only watch the saga, you don't even know this is a part of his history. And if you're interested in...
Personally, I just didn't get the whole point of it.
It's not neat. When I first saw this, I thought, oh, so she's going to be killed off, and it's going to be used to drive him deeper into the dark side.
And instead, she's still enduring, but only as part of cartoons.
Well, yes, she's got a novel, and then she's got she survived through Rebels, and it's her arc through the Clone Wars and Rebels is actually very interesting, and it's one worth watching overall. But that you're talking almost 100 hours of video, so it's a lot. It was interesting, though, to see her conversation with Anakin about the mandate, not exceeding their mandate after watching Attack of the Clones. He became the Obi-Wan character, and she became him.
Yeah. Well, it's just that he was trying to channel Obi-Wan, and I don't think that it's going to quite work for him simply because of the fact that, well, now he gets to experience what Obi-Wan puts up with him.
Right,
and I think Yoda even makes a comment that that's part of the reason they assigned her to him.
And that was a mistake, in my opinion, absolute opinion. It was a mistake. They should have just
left it alone.
She should have went to Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
But that's possibly just something else.
Okay, one of my main issues with the movie goes back to what we were saying at the beginning. Is simply the fact the movie's drawn out. Battle of Christophsis was awesome, but should have been a standalone thing for the series as opposed to we're going to put this, 15-20 minute battle at the beginning that has absolutely no bearing on the film other than to introduce Ahsoka.
Yep, and they could have...
It's got nothing to do with the movie.
Structured the film around that battle and it had been fine. The battle, for what we saw, was beautifully animated.
Mm-hmm. And then they go from that to you have to rescue Jabba's baby slug.
And this it humanizes Jabba to the point that it's like, why? Mm-hmm. Because we're used to him as this big, mean gangster. We know absolutely no idea that he's got a son.
Gotta remember, this is targeting a young audience, though.
I know.
So it's, okay, folks, it doesn't matter how bad the guy is, or how big of a gangster and murderer and slime ball he is. He has a heart.
Yeah.
The reality is, as odds are, if Jabba hadn't been killed off by, Anakin's daughter, more than likely his own son would eventually have stabbed him in the back and killed him, too. So,
well, his uncle Zero tries to do it.
Exactly.
And Zero,
that wasn't even needed in the movie.
It wasn't.
That was just a way to bring Padme into the storyline for her 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah, because they use him as a crutch on how
they
Dooku started the kidnapping,
mm-hmm.
and they could have done without it. Dooku could have just very well done it on his own.
But like I also brought up, the whole plot hole of the entire movie is simply the fact that Jabba's a long-lived being, and the Jedi have been around a very long time, and basically most of the higher powered groups in the galaxy are going to know that the Jedi are not going to kidnap anyone and kill them or hold them hostage.
Especially the old Hutt families. They know this.
Yeah, and on top of that, the very idea that Dooku would come up with such a plan, or even Palpatine, as Darth Sidious would come up with such a plan in order to manipulate events, just kind of falls through in the end. This was I get it, it was made to introduce a show that is for young adults and teens and kids, but at least make it work.
Yeah, it does a nice job of introducing what the TV show is. Its tone, its animation style, and at that point it nails it. It just, it's pointless on the overall pure cinematic universe that is the 9 saga films, Rogue One, and Solo. And that's how I'd sum it up and how I am comfortable ending it. I don't think, after watching it back to back with Attack of the Clones, it's not as bad as I remember, and it's maybe a little bit better than Attack of the Clones in
certain sections,
but it's just pointless overall. It's just pointless overall. So for me, it's at the bottom.
What's sad though is it actually manages to pull the comedy aspect off better than any of the other blatant comic parts of the films.
And it introduces the droids with individual personalities, like the battle droids, and I felt like that was kind of ridiculous. But again, that's younger demographic, thing, and it's and we get a little bit of that in Revenge of the Sith, But with that being said, have you seen Attack of the Clones? Or this is not Attack of the Clones. Have you seen the Clone Wars? The movie.
Kind of the same thing.
Almost. The movie, the series, even Rebels. If you have, go ahead and leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought about this animation style. And if you're along for the ride for the Star Wars on the path to the Rise of Skywalker, go ahead and hit like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, Have a good night.